So I guess we can go ahead and get started. Might as well go right to the referrals since we got some people who represent the referrals. So it's the first one.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Kim, are you able to pull up?
Sarah's.
Yeah.
Yep. Do you want any of the information like the plans and stuff like that from the
Or you bring them up.
Yeah, the map and then
okay. Yeah, I can do all that.
Sounds like my password. I'm sorry.
while she's pulling that up, you could probably just give us a little background on the application.
Oh, yeah, it's a 30 acre, just a hair of a 30 acre parcel. And requested that it's subdivided into 3 parcels, an 8 acre, a 10 acre in the center, and 12 acres on the south end. We met at the zoning board, when was it, just 2 days ago. It turned out there was, no one had seen this particular thing in the code for years, for decades, I guess. About there's a issue about the depth to width ratio. The depth was not supposed to be more than 2.5 times the width. We requested a variance, and that was, the board agreed that was probably appropriate. Especially when looking at the properties across this, on the left-hand side there, it's Hickox Road. And the properties on the other side are, many of them are similarly long and narrow. In fact, some much narrower, I mean, like the width ratio. That was, so, but the overall request is to have subdivision that comes up to the planning commission or meeting next week. I don't know what we're doing here with it, but that's.
So basically, so we're the agriculture committee,
Right.
and our main job is either to say that a project results in a loss of farmland or it doesn't result in a loss of farmland. That's basically really as far as we go.
Okay.
With that, making that determination, you know,
All right.
then that goes to the planning board and
Right.
anybody else that has to see it. So that's, we don't get into it any more than that, really.
Yeah, it's currently being leased to Charlie and Ellen Miller. Leased it to them. Folks,
Charlie Senior,
sorry,
Junior, Charlie Junior.
I've never met him. I've done all my,
It's all right.
yeah, I've done all the paperwork, everything with Ellen. I guess she handles all the paperwork.
Ellen?
Ellen.
Ellen's Charlie's wife.
We've always had a good rapport over the years. I've owned the property for 15 years. We were planning on farming it, well, parts of it, and having free play field and putting and getting more trees on it. But that's, you know, as I said at the zoning meeting, the best laid plans often go astray. So the folks who are potentially buying the prospective buyers for the 10 acre parcel in the center, they called in at the zoning board meeting and said they definitely want to see it retained, a large portion retained in ag. I believe the eastern portion on the right hand side of the screen. And the folks on the southern end, I don't recall if they said, realtors typically try to keep us buyers and sellers apart. So we've had the parishes here are also interested in a parcel on the north end. They're the ones I've had the most contact with by far. I'm just, again, as realtors are just keeping us apart. So I can't tell you exactly what the folks on the south end are interested in doing.
So currently Charlie uses the north part to access the next field next to it.
Well, it does sometimes. Ellen told me that they can go in there, but they can't come out onto the road there. She said their equipment tears up the highway, so they have to come out the south parcel. That's what she told me.
Correct, but that is for your field specifically.
Yes.
So everything that they do in your field, they park the trucks along Hickox Road and load in there.
Okay.
But at the very north part, there is an access to go into the next field.
Yes, I see a connection there.
And for them to access that next field from County Road 32, the access is a lot narrower for them to access that field. So they take all the crops out of the Sutter property. It's about 80 some acres that Charlie also farms there for Sutter. They take out through the north end and into that south part there. Everything goes through there. And then there is about 5 acres on the south end from the species, from Sylvia and Joe, I can never pronounce their last name correctly, that Charlie is also farming just in conjunction with all your fields.
Right. But at least when we walked the field, when I purchased it, it seemed like that was continuous field. I mean, there was a line from where the surveyor put the marks, but I don't know if they can, I trust they can cross over there as well.
They would not be able to farm Joe and Sylvia's because their field will be right behind the house in the corner. So it's just,
That they could not cross over to the Souders from,
from the Sutters on the other,
yeah,
from the north part, I don't know from the south.
okay.
There is no current access right now. I'm your neighbor to the south.
You are?
I am.
Okay.
So
Oh, right.
between my property and Sutters, there is access. And then there is no access until the very north part of your property.
Well, you'll get it. For a small fee.
I don't need to charge a fee, but my access is not big enough
For their equipment.
for their equipment.
Well, Ellen didn't say anything about, didn't mention anything about that to me. She just said they couldn't come out of the North Street, and that's all she told me.
To the road,
Yes.
correct, because that's too deep and it gets really wet.
Right. And the parish has indicated that they would like to build, if it's subdivided, if it's agreed upon, then they'd like to start building as soon as possible, so we agreed not to even have that planted.
Correct.
So that's currently not planted.
And Charlie did say that you told him about not planting the rest or taking the lease out of the rest, but he's already had the corn in, so.
Oh, no, I think we agreed that, that they could go ahead, you know, since, again, because the realtors do keep this apart, there was no indication from through the other agents that whether or not they wanted to continue farming it or not. And at the zoning board meeting 2 nights ago, the Ms. Emma Thompson indicated that she wanted to eventually build a house there toward the roadside and keep the back in agriculture. Whether she farms it or whether she continues to rent it. I don't
So
know.
that becomes an issue of access, right? Because that ratio of frontage to length
Right.
is to have space for a house and then access
Right,
to the
I
back.
understand. Right,
And we dealt with that one in one of your fields where they were building the house and shrinking the access to the field and those trucks need a lot of space to go in and out.
This is basically actively being farmed right now, and it would definitely, the soil, what type of soils are here? Can you tell us?
Prime if drained.
someone at the zoning board said if it's within a certain distance of the city, it was, the New York State considers it prime land, even though it's farmed far from prime.
Not necessarily. If you look at the map over there behind Gary, there is a difference between the greens and purple spots. The proximity to the city is not necessarily what marks the difference,
Oh.
but it's the fertility of the ground and the drainage that the ground.
That's what I would have thought, but the gentleman at zoning told me the New York State doesn't care what the soil is. He
They,
said,
they care what they were when they first landed. They
Okay,
just
yeah.
don't update the maps.
gotcha.
So honey oil loam is a really high quality soil. It would definitely be a loss of productivity from the Miller farm if they were no longer able to go ahead. and farm this land. It's within close proximity of their barns. And, you know, it would be a loss. There's no question of that.
Excuse me, what is it? Is that MR or NRCS soils? What is that considered?
Yeah, it's a national resource. It's
Oh.
basically, it basically grades the soils.
Mhm.
There's actually an ag plan that provides a description of all of these definitions for these types of soils.
Miller told me it wasn't that great. It's farmable, obviously.
The northern part is the worst part because of how much water it pulls.
Mm.
It doesn't drain as well as some of the. So it does get progressively better as it goes up. And in terms of, as Bob described, our job is to determine that any action could or could not potentially end up in the loss of agricultural land.
Hmm.
And so in that case, I know that just the intention of subdividing already caused the loss of 8 acres out of production. So my motion for this committee is that this action already started interceding with agricultural production in that plot. And the subdivision has the potential to further disrupt production in the other plots.
I agree with that.
That'd be a second. Tim.
That's a second.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed.
Aye.
You're not.
So
a
what kind
member
of
the
power
committee,
does the
sir.
committee have to?
We don't have the, oh, go
No,
ahead.
go ahead.
We don't have, or we are not supposed to stop or accept a project. We are just an advisory committee. We just analyze the information and provide the information to the town. The town has its own guidelines of what they need to use to approve or disapprove. Again, for us is agriculture, will we lose it? Yes or no? It is just an advisory based on, is it productive soil? Is it actively farmed? Is it useful to the economic viability of the farm use? That's where we stand. But we do not block the programs. We just advise.
Okay. So what we do is not, we follow guidelines and that's about it. It's not opinion or anything. It's just,
No, I understand.
yeah. Then it moves past us to.
Yeah.
Everybody else. Appreciate you guys coming. Like I said earlier, I don't think anybody's ever come for a referral before.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
They tend to go to the town. I don't know if that's because they know that they are the ones that make the decisions. So that's not, but it's, they usually leave us alone.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Thank you guys. So do you have a construction company?
My brother does, yes. Yep.
Build houses or?
He does, yeah.
Right.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you. We go open or close?
It's close, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
The second couple, they were with this
I
guy.
guess they are the buyers for the northern section.
Yeah, they want to buy land from, they want to buy a third of the plot.
So he owns all of it.
He owns all 30 acres, except for a little notch.
Is that one was owned by somebody out of state or something?
Yeah,
That's him?
he's originally from California. He is now living by the lake.
Okay.
After retirement, he retired from a university in California. But so his address was California,
Okay.
but he's now living in Canada. And Charlie did say that all the business has always been by text from his wife. He's never really had any conversations. He kind of confirmed a little bit of that. So next to the house, the corner house, they have this open lot that they are, the part next to it, That is owned by the old farmhouse by Sylvia and Joe. There is about 5 acres in there. Which not here nor there for this. We offered to lease it from her if they decide to do something else with all of that. We'll lease it to the pastures and just have more. It feels better. So that little piece, and you can see there at the bottom, just on top of those letters, that kind of corner, Charlie is using. There's about 5 acres on that second field that Charlie is still farming, and that's the part that they wouldn't have access.
I don't know where I know a couple from, but they're very familiar. Right?
Hmm.
Met them somewhere before.
The last name's Parrish. They're from the area.
Well, they probably don't like us anymore.
Hmm?
They probably don't like us anymore.
Again, we're.
The one good thing about this committee though is it's not, there's no opinion to it. It's just, this is what it is. and
Back on what we see.
So,
And it's easy evidence when it's not planted and it was planted last year.
unfortunately, though, it probably will end up moving ahead.
The variance was approved Tuesday.
You said Saugers is, I didn't realize there's 80 acres back there.
They totally have 100. His whole property is 100, but he doesn't farm the part south of the pond. So he just farms the bottom field and the one that is behind his house. Where there is 70, 80 is close to it.
Pretty decent chunk in one spot.
It is.
So that'll pretty much cut that.
He will have to come in through County Road 32.
Is there even good access into there though? Because he's got horse pastures and stuff.
He has to use his driveways, so I don't know how good they are for bigger machine.
Charlie actually renovated the driveways a couple of years ago.
The ones at Dave's.
Yeah, they brought in a bulldozer, laid down stone. And so that you have access.
But yeah, they'll have to go right in front of his house.
What it is.
Move on to the next one.
What would you like to see? Map?
If we can do the same thing, yeah. Now, am I mistaken or did we saw this one before?
I don't recall.
Maybe we saw you something very similar.
There was a horse farm recently that subdivided.
What's the location?
County Road 32.
$59.93. Is that what it says? $59.93.
And do we have the application of what their intention is? Trying to split off
This one.
We talked about County Road 32.
County Road 32.
This is almost at the end of the town, right? It's just when it ends, where the town ends.
Looking for the-
Is it the Tripodi property?
Yeah,
They bought right up against my property.
Oh,
so it's listed as currently being used as residential.
This is home. It's not,
It looks like there's a fair amount of forest on,
it goes right up against the back of my property.
I can bring up Encore. if you want.
Yeah, that's a good way good way to look at it. So are you familiar with this, Tim?
I haven't looked at the application yet, but I'm familiar with the property.
What is it?
He has a barn with a bunch of horses. And it's not really being farmed from what I recall. There's basically land. It's tall grass that they're riding motorcycles and snowmobiles on. There's really no further access, except out through his driveway to that land. It's locked.
There seems to be something in there in between forests. Is that a motorcycle?
Could be. Yeah, that's a motorcycle track. They venture on my property every once in a while. I don't really care.
It sounds like there's not much farmland. It's quite a bit of land, but not,
Could be good land, but it's like I said, it's locked right in. And that area is very wet. The forest is really, really wet. What is he proposing to do with it?
they want to subdivide 7 acres off of it.
Just the houses and the barns, right? Separated from the rest.
Because they want to separate it.
So
Do you know which direction I have to go? This is being.
go down past Woolhouse Road. Off of 32, go further to the west.
West.
To the west, yeah. Let me catch you
Old house.
right there. Yeah, so that's Charlie's Barns down there by Bliss Road.
Keep going
If you
a
go
little south,
further south,
for Route 32.
keep on going. That's it.
The one in
There it
yellow,
is.
There it
right
is.
there.
Sometimes this thing is a little fuzzy.
So those fields right behind the barns, you said those are not farmed, they're just.
Yeah, they're riding motorcycles, basically. That's you see the hedgerow going down through the middle of that field right there? To the left of that, that's my property line. And that field is very difficult to get to. But to the right of that, that's a great big hill. That's my hill hay field for my horses. It's a lot of land.
It's a big chunk of land. Yeah, but based on what I'm seeing in here, this division does not interfere.
Where exactly is the 7 acres that they want to divide? And then what do they want to do with the other 70 acres?
And they want to separate the house, the barn. It looks like the house is staying with the big piece.
Above that, that line where the house and the barn are, that's his workshop.
Oh, that's the work.
Yeah.
So the house stays in the 7 acres and then the big plot just keeps
Yeah.
the barn.
But what does he want to do with the rest of it? This is my question.
Is not in there. I couldn't find anything what I read.
Yeah, it's just listed as residential.
It's not residential. I mean, his house is there, but it's definitely an ag district,
Well,
from
It's an
zoning
ag district, but it's
perspective.
not productive. It's not being used for anything but recreation.
And deer.
So
It is wet.
I made the motion that this does not represent
Yeah, this doesn't affect
the
agriculture at all.
all in favor, say aye.
I,
All opposed.
unfortunately, it doesn't.
Ah.
So I'm afraid of development.
well, but if it doesn't have easy access, there's no.
He doesn't.
I mean, the ordinance about frontage basis depth may affect him there as well.
He could, if he has the the workshop that he has there, he could go ahead and take down, that's just a metal building. And that could be access for development all the way through that whole area.
Yeah, but the amount of space that he's leaving of frontage compared to the depth of, that's what they may say that it's out of code. That's not for us to figure it out, that's
Yeah,
for
I know. I'm just worried, that's all.
the same thing.
I'm gonna move to Wyoming.
The next thing we had was discussing the budget.
Don't know how much your budget
I
is or any
had
of that.
an email
information.
from Sarah and I don't know where it went to now.
Oops.
Because I did have the amounts and I had it saved here and I don't know. In the past, we've never really used anything. And she did recommend that if we were gonna put in some money, that we tried to actually say what we were gonna use it for and then probably use it. So this year, my thought was, we always talk about using it for education. With Fun on the Farm being in Canandaigua, I thought it'd be a good opportunity for the Ag Committee to make a donation to that event. The donation will be to the Farm Bureau, but it'll be for Fun on the Farm. 'Cause that's a big agricultural event.
Sounds fine.
Education.
It's yours, right? It
No,
makes
yeah.
sense to me to support.
She thought we might even need to be a little more specific on having it directly donated for one reason. That's a little difficult, I think, to do. It all goes to the same pot of money.
I feel that there is two things that we can do in here. I mean, one is just general money for whether it's the signage or the promotion of the event, if you want to specify something. And I would say that that's where the town of Canandaigua can make the biggest bang. The other one is if the town can still make signs, if they can support Fun on the Farm, which not only signage, but helping posting signage throughout the town to
Sure.
promote the event and to invite people to the event. I think that's where we can really make a difference, because we have access to resources that Fun on the Farm per se don't.
I have another idea that, besides education. But I guess we'll finish this first.
Go ahead.
It's related to the county fair. We have a lot of farmers that are producing things, produce and, cheese or whatever else and meat. If there was a promotion of that with some type of dinner at the county fair where these people could promote their products. And we purchase their products for that promotion. It would be, I think it would be win-win. It'd be promoting agriculture and the town of Canandaigua.
That would be for next year's budget, right?
Yes.
So
It's not a bad idea, and I know we talked earlier this year about starting to plan stuff for the fair very early on, every month talking about it, so that could be planned.
It's not a bad idea.
No. That planned it early on, or it could be I don't know, I mean, how you figure out who was gonna come to this dinner, because you can't have tons of food, whether it be something for some local elected officials or.
unless we try to match it with the auction dinner and try to
Raise money.
promote something for that. So the 4-Hers are inviting the people, the 4-Hers are responsible of bringing the bidders to the dinner. And what the town does is say, okay, we sponsor in part this dinner to make it all locally grown.
The 4-Hers could raise the chickens. They could raise whatever, people wanted to serve.
If we started planning that early enough, it could work. So I think in the past, we had $5,000 in the budget. So we could, let's ask for that again for this, maybe working towards some type of dinner in conjunction, maybe with 4-H at the fair. from there.
Yeah.
That's pretty specific. If we end up using it for something else, then.
For this year, going back to Fun on the Farm, I mean, we haven't used any of the money. Because the fair didn't cost us anything. We had the maps, we had the signs. I do think that one way or the other, the signs of farm-friendly community, we should make some that are devoted to the farm and just leave them there. Permanently put in the doors of those barns. They were fine leaving them the whole barn, the whole fair, but there's here and there other events that happen throughout the summer in there. And maybe it's not a bad thing to have those signs at the fairgrounds all the time. But if we can use that signage or that the sign shop to make more promotion for Fun on the Farm, I think it's worth considering some of our budget to make those signs and to spread them around. In addition to the direct donation.
Yeah, we'll talk to them about that, 'cause I know these, it's, every time we do it, it's different date and everything, so those signs would be used once.
This is I just thought of a problem that is that in July, what type of harvest is available? And, you know, perhaps there is enough available for that time frame. But, you know, a harvest dinner to promote agriculture producers in the area should really be held in the fall. And so it doesn't have to be held at the fairgrounds. I'm sure there are plenty of other sites that the town can offer. You know, like some of the, I think that down at Outhouse Park, they have those two facilities right there, so it could be held there. Now I'm getting too specific, but you know, the point is that a harvest dinner really should be held in the fall. Right.
Say it again.
A harvest dinner should be held in the fall when you have harvest available to go ahead and have a dinner with. I hope that makes sense.
And we have different vegetables that are harvested throughout the summer, and now with more and more greenhouses, they are harvesting at different times. And if we are promoting animal agriculture, they just harvest year round. So I don't think that we're restricted to the fall. It's not a bad idea, it's traditional, but I don't think that we're restricted. I think that we should plan it when there was a better chance of getting more people.
I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah, the fair is
do that.
Good.
Just an idea, but you can have a tasting rather than a dinner, so it's a little more free form that way. Might be
Tapas.
easier for you.
Tapas.
Good ideas.
I did that. Cornell Cooperative Extension promoted something like that at Hobart in the winter time. And they invited all of the local chefs in the area to go ahead and prepare a meal or a part of the meal. And it was amazing. I tell you, the cheese, they had duck pate. That was 6-7 years ago, and I still remember it. The wine was
Wow.
excellent, you know, I mean, it was really well done. And when it was, the New York Kitchen. Now the court, what was it before the New York Kitchen?
Oh, the Culinary Center.
Yeah, the Culinary Center. They actually did a winter dinner. And we provided all of the chicken. And that was extremely well done too. So I think that you could probably get even sponsors to go ahead and bring in, whatever refreshments that you would care to have. And you probably get some promotion and from the restaurants to be able to do that now. So it's been done before. It's not an original idea. But it hasn't been done at the county fair. And I think that the county fair could really benefit from having something that is, truly agriculture and food related to the town of Canandaigua. I think it would really make it nice. You get a different clientele coming into the county fair as well than you typically would have.
About the signs, so if we're gonna put some of those farm friendly signs up for over the fair, they could be next year's budget too.
How many of those do we have?
This year we have, they gave me two, so I put one on the dairy barn and one on the beef barn. But I just put them with tape. And I think that if we can devote some that are specifically for that purpose, we could just
Well, there's
properly
one,
put them in those.
one on Canandaigua Farmington Town Line Road that you enter this town of Canandaigua.
Well, there is 8 in the entrances of town. So if you're coming north on 21, there is one in there. On 32, there is
Okay.
one in there as you come into the town.
Okay,
So
so
there,
there are some.
entering the town, even if you are coming on Bristol from the city of Canandaigua into the town, there will be one in there. So those signs got put up. And
Right.
technically, we had the budget for it, but they never took it out of our budget. They just made the signs in there and started putting them. But Gene told us how many ended up putting. I thought that there were 8 or 9
Yeah, there's.
that they were put out in the streets. What I'm looking for is additional places where we can put it in. Because
Right.
we were only able to put them right underneath the sign that says the town code.
Right,
So can we put them other places? The fair was gracious enough to just put it, leave them in there. No, you don't have to take them out, leave them the whole time. Okay, let's make it permanent. How many other places in the town of Canandaigua can we find to keep adding those signs just for exposure? In the
so,
streets, we cannot put any more in the streets. We have to find other places. The fair for me was a logical place to.
About the library.
Is in the city of Canandaigua, not the town. Unless we go to Bristol. No, that's Bristol town. That's not Canandaigua.
Well, you could go to, Outhouse Park. Or
Yeah, I
something
mean,
like
those
that.
parking lots. Can we put those signs in the parking lots of the parks in Canandaigua?
why not?
Right, so that's something that, yeah, if we, whether we put it in the budget or we just make the push to have them print them. And for the ones on Fun on the Farm, we can make them general enough that, as they were suggesting, let's make the sign that says Fun on the Farm, and then a sticker that gives the address or the date, so that they can be reused.
That's what they do with big wagon banners that we move around to advertise on the farm.
And if you're gonna do it for more than 1 year, I would say that, I would suggest that you mention Baba Farms. And next year, we can maybe do some different ones,
Change the sticker of the
Yeah,
name.
yeah. but
But honestly,
identify where that's gonna be.
it's very unlikely that the next 6 years is gonna be in the time of Canandaigua.
Right.
So we have the opportunity this time to really make a big deal. So
Yes.
even if we print the specific signs that will not be used again because they have farm and date, I think it's worth it, because this is an event that
Yeah.
in Ontario County happens every other year. In the town of Canandaigua, maybe happens every 10 to 15 years. I don't know when.
But
Yeah.
Canandaigua,
Is in the town of Canandaigua this time.
oh, this, well,
Every
there's
year.
always is.
Fun on the
Fun
farm.
on the farm.
Oh,
It's
Right.
every other year in Ontario County.
right,
But
But town of Canandaigua, we already use Baba, the next farm. For this.
so.
So I
When was
don't
the
know
last
when it's
time it
gonna
was
happen
there?
again, fellas. It hasn't happened anyway. This is the first time that happens.
So,
Well, I think they're aware of that too, and they're trying to push for more on this side of, the town of Canandaigua.
On this side of Ontario County.
Yeah.
Yes. But
Maybe,
Yeah,
we're running out of
maybe,
farms. in
Right, well, that's true, yeah.
don't they have like a map of where all the farms are in the town of Canandaigua?
All the dairy farms.
Yeah, all the dairy farms.
It's like two.
Two, oh my gosh, just two farms. Two farms.
That's only 2 dairy farms. That's why it's not gonna be back in the town of Canandaigua for a very long time.
Oh
So
my gosh.
we better make a big splash out of it.
I'll talk to Sarah and Joe Fletcher about that.
Yeah.
About the signs and
So I don't mind putting those signs outside my house there on 32 and other places. We just need to cut.
yeah,
All right, I'll check with them and see what the feasibility of that is. I'll get the total, I don't know why I lost that email. I'll find what the total amount is that we have left.
Mhm.
But everyone's in agreement then that we can,
Yeah, I think for this year, for budget 2022, that is the best use of our money
Right,
to get as many people in that event as we
you know,
can.
we can start planning for a fair or some other event.
being
early on
in the
fall.
town.
Now, if we want specific reasons to give monetary donations, another suggestion I would do is to pay for busing of school kids
Yeah,
on Friday.
that, we'll know more about that. Not real soon as it gets closer, because you don't hear from the schools usually till the last minute. And their biggest excuses will be that they don't have funds or
Yeah,
whatever.
so if
So
we have money in addition to
That
science,
might be better.
that is a direct contribution. And we can do it through Fund on the Farm, or we can do it direct to the school. It doesn't matter. Let's just get kids in there.
we could, I guess, we probably could donate it to the Farm Bureau for Fun on the Farm with it marked as that if it's needed.
And now we start getting
Yeah.
specific if the town wants.
If not, then they can be used.
So I'm gonna ask a question that might be controversial. What's the purpose of educating kids about farms in the town of Canandaigua when there are only 2 dairy farms in the entire town?
So that we don't lose the towns, the ones that are left, so that they have a notion of we need farms to survive.
But what
Farming
type of
in general.
influence? What
kind
kind
of
of
farming
influence?
Farming in general,
Just
it's
in
called
general.
fun on the farm, but you go to a dairy farm, but it's to promote.
There's gonna be information about a lot of other farming things in there.
So how effective has that promotion been in the past?
It's-
How do you know?
For what?
How effective has that type of promotion been in the past?
Every time they have the event, it's between 3,000 to 5,000 people that attend, so they keep coming back.
And the feedback has always been extremely positive of anyone you talk
You know, I
about.
don't know how
Wow,
much-
I never knew that. Wow,
how
I
much-
didn't realize that.
How much people truly retain or learn from it, but it's.
Boy, I just saw some lights go on. You guys are enthusiastic about this.
It's a
It's a
really
really good
big
event.
event. It's a well-organized event that really pulls more people than we have ever been able to. pull
If you've
in
never-
any other event.
If you've never been to it, I don't think you can really comprehend it.
I've been to it. I'm asking the questions to go ahead and put it to you guys to make you think.
No, it's, from what I've been told, is a lot of times the school kids will come on Friday and actually get they'll like it so much, they get the parents to come back on Saturday with them. You know, how much they really retain, who knows? But it gets them seeing things they've never seen before and gets them thinking about it a little bit more.
Now, how much influence? It won't probably mean an influence in the next 10, 15 years until they are actually making decisions, but we have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
We lost a lot of
Yeah.
ground. We lost three generations already.
Do you think Buzz has ever been to Fun on the Farm?
Bosses?
Guy that was here before.
Probably not,
And or Ethan or Lisa?
probably not.
Probably not.
They were probably not running in front of the farm when they went to school. So we lost a couple generations. I'm not saying that this is the one that will make the difference in the next 10 years, but it's gonna make the difference at some point.
I grew up in Clifton Springs, so I've been to the Hemdale Fun on the Farm, and it is absolutely, gangbusters big. There's no
Yeah.
question about it. And I think it was at Minz's farm one year,
Mhm.
and, it's big.
Where else?
So,
Blackbrook.
so how does this really come
Blackbrook.
together as a puzzle piece for the town of Canandaigua,
Yeah.
supporting Fun on the Farm?
Short tail
I mean,
Okay.
we've been asked for specifics. What is the goal statement that we want to have for promoting Fun on the Farm?
It is an event that brings the people and gives us the ability to educate. We cannot, no one can ever, not a professor, not a teacher, no one can ever make someone learn. All we can is expose people to the information.
So,
Fun on the Farm
I agree.
allows us to
I
expose
agree.
people to the information.
so if
Because
we
there's
take
another
that information, sorry to interrupt you, but I agree with you. But if we take that information and we link it back to the Ag Committee, and the Ag Plan, what chapter, what part of the Ag Plan does this fulfill? I know that there's a section in there that talks about educating.
Education and promotion of agriculture in the town. And we're
So-
gonna make sure that everybody knows that this is happening in the town.
What chapter, what paragraph is that?
On Unless you have it in front of us to review it, then.
I don't.
it's two
I
of them,
don't, but we need to know that.
But out of 5 action plans we have, we're covering 2, so I'm not worried about that.
So we as, you know, somebody that's working with data, you know, to go ahead and review these applications for development. You know, we need to do the same thing for promotion and using the town's money. We gotta link that right back to the ag plan. With that, I knew I'd ask the right question.
These are the measurables, but then there's other goals that would be like this.
From here, then it's-
Yeah,
Well, my
this
glasses.
is the comp plan, the comprehensive plan. So if you go to the website and search for comprehensive plan, you will find it. So if you want to read this more.
I have it printed in drawer in my desks. but
Yeah.
It's in my
I don't
filing
memorize
cabinet.
it. But I know that this covers a lot. I mean, it covers education about agriculture. It covers about activities in the town of Canandaigua. It covers about exposing people to the needs for sharing roads and
Communicate
understanding
with and
noise and
educate,
everything else.
right there, the very last one.
That's pretty.
Pretty specific.
And this is an opportunity of meeting 5,000 people that we don't have anywhere else.
So we can,
Not
we
even
can
the
say,
county fair gives us that many people.
we can say on page 107 of the comprehensive plan, it states, communicate with and educate residents regarding, that's what our goal is.
I just don't think that there's a question about it.
There isn't, it's in the plan.
Well, if it wasn't, then it should be.
I agree.
So it's just a matter of finding out how much money we have available and what we have to
Yeah.
do to redistribute it in that direction. If there isn't a need for a vote, I'll make a motion to vote to use 2022 budget to promote foreign fund.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
I'll say yes.
Now, if it's a matter of not being able to get
My,
kids there because of not having the buses, then it's a good idea to bus kids to get them there. Because if you don't, they're not gonna get any
Yeah.
value out of it.
my question would be, if it's $5,000, like you said, is that properly, is that more than we would spend or less or?
How much does it cost to send 2 buses from the middle school or the?
But I mean, do
primary
you think
school?
there's money left over from, or does it end every year?
Oh, I think it ends.
It ends.
So we don't have anything left
It
over.
goes back.
Anything that is left
No,
gets
I'm just-
distributed to the youth clubs that help organize. So if the Boy Scouts come and 4-H comes, and it gets divided as a donation to those clubs.
Right,
You're asking about the budget though, right?
yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think the budget goes away.
Right. Well, that's what I was gonna say, is if we ask for 5,000 and we don't use it, all it's gonna go away. And where does it go after it goes away?
To someone.
It's been earmarked for something, comes out of the general fund, where does it go?
Goes back into the funds and somebody else uses it.
Yeah.
So I have
So
another,
my question is,
yes, sir.
again, if we don't use that, is there something else that we can bridge onto this?
Well, the
Well,
dinner
we're
is not
talking
a bad
about
idea.
signs.
I just don't know how much the dinner is gonna take, but yeah, we can.
Well,
We can, it's a year to plan that though.
Talking about signs,
Okay,
changing the gears a little bit here, okay? And it's, I'm gonna say something that is controversial again. But here we have 30 acres and the potential of 80 more acres being lost to agriculture or making agriculture in the town of Canandaigua more difficult. Does anybody in the community know that? Besides the people in this room and you know, that are reviewing the plans up there? Does anybody in the community care?
Family
No.
does. I can
know-
tell you what my
I
kids
know
have
you
said.
do. I know you do, so do I. But the point is that the large greater community in the town of Canandaigua has no idea that we're losing ag land in
Depends.
lots.
It depends on whether you're talking about the city of Canandaigua or the town of Canandaigua.
I'd say the
There's
town,
much more interest in the town.
But those people will say, well, we don't want to lose farmland or we want farms, and then they'll go and build a house where there's farmland and live, right?
that's right. That's absolutely right.
'Cause it's
So
fair. And I'm-
it's-
I'm
it's
to blame,
like-
right? It's
We
it's
all,
nice
and all
to-
of us have kind of done that, something one way or another.
So I guess that how do we bring awareness to the loss of farmland in the town of Canandaigua? You know, if we're talking about signs, right? You know, to promote ag in the town of Canandaigua. Maybe we should be driving awareness with signs of this property is
It's being lost. That kind of sounds
lost
protest.
farmland today. It's real.
That kind of sounds like protesting, and I don't know that we wanna get into
Well, that's why I
that.
said it's controversial.
It's,
It goes back to my question again, is if we don't need to spend $5,000, is there ways that we can better use the money? Besides the up to 500, I don't have any problem with spending the money for 5,000. I just,
Let me ask you a question, Ray. What would you do with $5,000 to spend on agriculture in the town of Canandaigua? If you had it in your own wallet right now?
that's not fair, because I'm in the city.
Well, it doesn't matter. You're sitting here on the board
Yeah,
and you care about agriculture. How would you spend the money?
I would find a way, whether it's more, more letting people know more about like you said, the
I like it. I agree with you. I agree with you. So, you know, greater awareness
yes,
with,
awareness.
yeah.
But how do you do that? I'm not sure.
right.
So my idea, what I just said probably would not fly. I don't think that anybody in the town of Canandaigua would appreciate us sticking a sign out in front of a development that says, oh, another 30 acres lost to agriculture, you know, lost to development, you know, lost agriculture to development.
you cannot use public funds. for
Yeah,
something that
and
is
we'll use
illegal and have rules.
$5,000 to do that.
We're
This
gonna
guy-
go back to our.
This guy's not part of the town of Canandaigua. I mean, he owns 30 acres in it, but he doesn't really care.
Actually, the CIC is talking about having a communication plan, a marketing plan, going and getting that for next year so they can communicate with more residents. That's kind of what you're talking about
Yeah.
too, is
Well, we could-
talking about.
We could do that. We could be the agriculture perspective on
Yeah.
that. I
We don't
had,
have a perfect role.
do you guys, what's that? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
There is not a perfect way of solving the problems we have. Because going back to, at the end of the day, it's his private property.
Yeah.
I know what I want out of that field. And if I could, I convince Charlie to use wheat year after year, because that's really a nice scenery from my backyard, all winter long. But it's his private property, right? So there are some things that at some point his rights over Trump my desire. We need to understand that. All we can
Well,
do
we
here
understand
is
that. We
try to
understand
really communicate the need to produce food before producing electricity. In my mind, that's a big one. It doesn't matter how
Amen.
much electric we have, if we don't have food, we're not here. The other one is trying to conscientize the people that to produce food, there are some things that happen that they have to tolerate, whether it's a smell, noise, slow moving vehicles on the road. I think those are big things that have to happen to produce food.
Smelly cows.
So that's the education aspect of it right there. That really does affect the public in the town of
I
Canandaigua.
cannot
And
force.
people wanting to build here.
I cannot force millennials to come. I cannot force the 20-somethings that are gonna start making decisions in the next 15 years. But if I can get the kids that are at least a little more receptive to getting information, I want to start in there because in 40 years, we're still gonna have this problem.
Yeah, but today the millennials are the ones that are having the money that they're going to invest, purchase this land and build their house right
Yeah.
there in the middle of a farm
And
field.
if you can find an
Why would
event,
they want to do that?
and if you can find an event that will reach millennials, I will be all for it, putting the 5,000 in there. But right now, we don't have a way to reach those millennials. We have a way to reach the younger generation.
I would say that we haven't thought about
No, unless you put your message on a video game, I don't know that you can get them out of that screen.
it.
You just can't get people to come to something like that if they're not interested. And if they're interested, they already know about it.
Maybe we could make a video game.
There are, there are farming games.
Yeah.
They're very interactive, actually. I was playing around with one once and somebody showed me. You could pick the tractors and implements and plant the crops.
So in the meantime, I had a call from Gary Kokensberger, who is at the south end of the town. And he is a member, I can't remember what board he's on,
ECB.
ECB. And he was asking me, what are you guys doing over there in the Ag Committee? And the reason why he called me is because I know Gary and his son grew up with my boys. And I told him what we're doing and, what our goals are, what our desires and our wishes are for the Ag Committee and for agriculture in the town of Canandaigua. So he took that information back to the ECB. And he thought that we should go ahead and have some type of interaction with the ECB, maybe the CIC, and, so that we understand things like, this marketing plan that they've got going on. I mean, we don't know what they're doing. We should, on a monthly basis, we should invite in a representative. I know we've done that in the past, but for some reason it never really hit.
Actually, that's what the CIC does. It has people from the different boards and committees, so you're certainly welcome there.
Bob, are you participating in the CIC?
No.
And that's where I was gonna go. I mean, it's easy for us to say, yeah, we want everybody to come, and they're gonna say, well, why doesn't the agricultural committee come to our meetings as well? And then just pass it that way. And if we wanna be really proactive, we can just flip a coin and say who is going to watch board, but it's just one more meeting that we have to find time to.
Yeah, but we've got 5 guys here, I mean, it's not a terrible thing every 5 months to go to another meeting. I do it.
So there's 5 different programs we can go and explain what we're doing.
Can we come up with a plan for that? I guess we would need a schedule for when all of these boards are meeting and then to go ahead and communicate with them, liaison with them. And
See
to,
who's available for what.
get an introduction, who might be interested in what we're doing.
Sarah would probably have some good input on doing that.
I'm on ECB,
Are you?
So
yeah, you could have you.
Okay.
So what is it that you do?
The ECB also does referral reviews. Some of the same ones that you guys do, sometimes they're different. And so our feedback goes to the zoning board and the planning board. And then we're actually trying to hold a environmental fair this fall. You guys are welcome to have table and display there. It would be October 22nd.
You know, we've lost a very Gary,
Gary Davis.
Gary Davis.
Yeah.
And we need to replace him. I think that would be a good decision to try to work at trying to find someone who would be willing to replace Gary.
You mean like from the town board to come?
Yeah,
That would be a good thing to work through, Sarah.
A lot of stuff in these minutes to read through. You take good minutes. so.
Thank you.
Do they have anything else?
Is there anything else in the agenda that we're missing?
No, I think it was just budget after the referrals.
Would you take out any personal statements that we made regarding what we said about this? I
be a good one to
I don't mean it a lot of my.
put in.
did.
Yeah.
A good one. to
I
put
honestly have a
into
little bit of a
each
mixed
goal.
reaction between doing that or not. It's a loss for
That
Charlie,
is one of the.
but it's a gain for me. If I can get 5 acres of pasture land, I can have meat animals. Right now, my kids all want to do it, and I have said we don't have enough grass. So, but that's to keep outside of this, right? That's so I don't want the loss of the 30 acres. But it represents 5 acres gain for me.
There's always that. So I move that we close out our meeting.
Thank you. Have a good week.
Just one more, a couple more days left.
Meeting Tuesday night.